The year is 1985. The world is a powder keg. Two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, locked in a deadly embrace. From the battlefields of Vietnam to the streets of Berlin, the Cold War cast a long shadow. The fate of the world hung in the balance, and nowhere was the battle more heated than in Central America. Nicaragua, grappling with revolution and poverty, became a Cold War hotspot. The Sandinistas, a leftist revolutionary group, seized power, aligning with the Soviet Union and Cuba. The Reagan administration, fearing the spread of communism, saw Nicaragua as a crucial battleground. Thus began one of the most controversial chapters in American history, the Iran-Contra affair. Nicaragua, a small Central American nation, found itself caught in the crosshairs of the Cold War. In 1979, the Sandinista National Liberation Front toppled a brutal dictatorship. Inspired by Marxist ideology, the Sandinistas implemented socialist reforms and allied with Cuba and the Soviet Union. Alarmed, the Reagan administration viewed the Sandinistas as a Soviet beachhead. The U.S. supported the Contras, a counter-revolutionary group waging a brutal guerrilla war. The conflict claimed tens of thousands of lives and devastated Nicaragua. The Reagan administration invoked the domino theory, fearing communist expansion in Central America. U.S. officials painted a dire picture, warning of a Soviet-backed Nicaragua threatening U.S. national security. Deep within the corridors of power, a secret plot was hatched. Congress had banned direct military aid to the Contras, wary of another Vietnam. Determined to topple the Sandinistas, the Reagan administration sought ways to circumvent this prohibition. Enter Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, a key figure in the covert efforts to support the Contras. North and a small group devised a plan to funnel funds and weapons to the Contras by exploiting the plight of American hostages in Lebanon. This audacious plan would soon spiral out of control, engulfing the Reagan administration in a scandal, the Iran-Contra affair. In Nicaragua, a shadow war was being fought, hidden from the public eye. The Contras, a mixed bag of rebels, battled the Sandinista government with U.S. support. The U.S., through the CIA, provided training, weapons, and money, turning the Contras into a formidable force. But the Contras were accused of human rights abuses, targeting civilians, and using terror as a weapon. The Sandinistas, facing a brutal counterinsurgency, responded with repression. Civil liberties were curtailed, dissent was silenced, and the dream of a free Nicaragua seemed to slip away. The conflict turned ordinary Nicaraguans against both sides. The shadow war blurred the lines between right and wrong, leaving a trail of devastation. Thousands of miles away in the Middle East, another crisis was unfolding. American hostages were held captive in Lebanon by Hezbollah, a group backed by Iran. The captors demanded concessions from the U.S., including the release of prisoners and an end to support for Israel. The hostage crisis became a national obsession, a daily reminder of geopolitical fragility. The Reagan administration, under pressure to bring the hostages home, faced a diplomatic quagmire. In this climate, a daring plan began to take shape, linking the fate of the hostages to the conflict in Central America, leading to the Iran-Contra affair. The Iran-Contra affair was a pact forged in desperation, where the ends justified the means. The Reagan administration, desperate to secure the release of the hostages, struck a deal with Iran. The U.S. would secretly sell arms to Iran, violating an arms embargo in exchange for Iran's help in freeing the hostages. This gamble was more than an arms-for-hostages swap. It was a web of deceit with far-reaching consequences. The proceeds from the arms sales were secretly funneled to the Contras in Nicaragua, violating a congressional ban. The Iran-Contra affair would expose the dark underbelly of U.S. foreign policy. Oliver North found himself at the heart of a conspiracy testing American democracy. A fervent anti-communist, North saw the congressional ban on funding the Contras as a strategic blunder. He believed the U.S. had a moral obligation to support the Contras against the Sandinistas. North saw an opportunity in the hostage crisis, a way to achieve two objectives with one move. The arms for hostages deal with Iran was a risky gamble that could make North a hero or a pariah. North, accustomed to operating in the shadows, was willing to take risks to advance his country's interests. Despite Congress's ban, North created a secret pipeline of funding for the Contras. He established a network of shell companies, offshore accounts, and clandestine arms dealers. Money changed hands in suitcases, weapons were shipped on unmarked planes, and secret messages were passed through intermediaries. The operation was highly compartmentalized, with few privy to its full extent. North, with tacit approval from senior officials, created a shadow government. The American people, unaware of the secret war, continued to debate U.S. policy in Central America. The arms for hostages deal was just the beginning. To keep the Contras supplied, North delved into international arms trafficking. Deals were struck with shady arms dealers, former intelligence operatives, and right-wing dictators. The weapons came from various sources, leaving a trail of blood and destruction. The Iran-Contra affair highlighted the unintended consequences of U.S. foreign policy. The secret pipeline tarnished the U.S. reputation, undermining its credibility on the world stage. Cracks began to appear in North's carefully constructed edifice. Rumors of the arms for hostages deal and the diversion of funds to the Contras circulated within the intelligence community. Some officials, troubled by the operation's legality and morality, had second thoughts. Journalists began to dig deeper, following the money trail and connecting the dots. The Iran-Contra affair was a ticking time bomb, set to explode and engulf the Reagan administration in scandal. The American people would soon learn the complex and troubling truth. The truth, like a serpent, wound its way into the light. Whispers of the arms for hostages deal began to circulate, fueled by leaks and investigative journalists. The story soon found its way onto the front pages and television screens. The American public watched in stunned silence as the scandal unfolded. They learned their government had been secretly selling arms to Iran and funding a forbidden war. The revelations shattered the facade of competence and integrity of the Reagan presidency. The Iran-Contra affair divided families, polarized communities, and ignited debate about presidential power and covert operations. Supporters of Reagan argued he acted in the nation's best interests, making difficult choices in a dangerous world. Opponents condemned the actions as a betrayal of American values and a dangerous overreach of power. The affair revealed deep divisions within American society. It was a watershed moment, a turning point in American history. The aftershocks of the Iran-Contra affair would be felt for decades to come. As the scandal deepened, the pressure mounted on the Reagan administration to provide answers, to hold those responsible accountable. Congress launched a series of high-profile hearings, summoning key players in the affair to testify under oath, their every word scrutinized by a nation hungry for the truth. Oliver North, once a shadowy figure operating in the shadows, found himself thrust into the harsh glare of the national spotlight. He became a household name, his face plastered across newspapers and magazines, his every word dissected on television news programs. North, a decorated military officer, a man accustomed to giving orders, not taking them, found himself on the defensive, grilled by lawmakers demanding answers, accused of misleading Congress, of shredding documents, of putting his own personal beliefs above the law of the land. He became a lightning rod for criticism, a symbol of everything that was wrong with the Reagan administration. Yet, North, defiant to the end, insisted that he had acted patriotically, that he had done what he believed to be in the best interests of his country. He argued that he had been following orders, that he was a soldier fighting a secret war against communism, and that the American people would understand, even if Congress did not. Section 4. A legacy tarnished. The fallout from Iran-Contra. The Iran-Contra affair cast a long shadow over the Reagan presidency, tarnishing its legacy and raising profound questions about the use and abuse of power in a democracy. The Teflon president, as he was once known, found himself mired in scandal, his popularity plummeting, his credibility shattered. The affair led to 11 convictions of administration officials, including North, who was found guilty of obstructing justice, destroying evidence, and accepting an illegal gratuity. However, North's convictions were later overturned on appeal, a legal victory that did little to erase the stain on his reputation. The Iran-Contra affair exposed the dangers of unchecked executive power, the seductive allure of secrecy, and the corrosive effects of ideology on sound judgment. It served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that even in a democracy, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. The affair also had a profound impact on U.S. foreign policy, undermining American credibility abroad and fueling anti-American sentiment in the Middle East and Latin America. It demonstrated the limits of American power, the unintended consequences of interventionism, and the need for a more nuanced and ethical approach to international affairs. A nation riveted. The hearings that gripped a nation. In the annals of American political theater, few events have captivated the nation's attention quite like the Iran-Contra hearings. This wasn't just a dry procedural exercise, it was a real-life drama unfolding live on television, a clash of titans, a battle for the soul of the nation. The air crackled with tension as key players in the scandal were summoned before the Senate Select Committee, their every word scrutinized by a nation hungry for answers. Millions tuned in, transfixed by the spectacle of power, accountability, and the search for truth. The hearings became a cultural moment, a shared national experience that transcended political affiliation. Water cooler conversations revolved around the latest bombshells, political cartoons lampooned the protagonists, and late-night comedians feasted on the daily dose of absurdity. But beneath the surface of the political theater, there were real stakes, real consequences. Reputations hung in the balance, political careers were on the line, and the very integrity of the American system of government was being tested. Truth lies in videotape, North's testimony, and the power of image. The star witness, the man at the center of the storm, was Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. Here was a man who embodied both the allure and the danger of American power. A decorated war hero, a charismatic leader, a man of action who operated by his own rules. North's testimony was nothing short of riveting. He spoke with conviction, with passion, with a touch of folksy charm that resonated with many Americans. He painted himself as a patriot, a loyal soldier following orders, a man willing to bend the rules, even break them, to protect his country from its enemies. But there was another side to North's testimony. a side that troubled many observers. He admitted to misleading Congress, to destroying evidence, to operating outside the bounds of the law. He seemed to be arguing that the ends justified the means, that in the fight against communism, anything goes. North's performance, broadcast live into living rooms across the country, highlighted the power of image, of narrative, of how a skilled communicator can sway public opinion even in the face of damning evidence. It was a stark reminder that in the age of mass media, perception is often reality. A verdict, but not an end. The legal and political fallout. The Iran-Contra hearings did not end with a clear-cut verdict, a Hollywood-style resolution where the good guys triumph and the bad guys get their just desserts. Instead, the affair resulted in a messy, unsatisfying conclusion, a mix of legal accountability, political maneuvering, and lingering questions that would continue to haunt the nation for years to come. 11 administration officials, including North, were eventually convicted on charges related to the scandal, ranging from obstruction of justice to perjury. However, many of these convictions were later overturned on appeal, and the sense of accountability, of justice being served, remained elusive. President Reagan himself, though never directly implicated in the illegal activities, saw his presidency tarnished by the scandal. His approval ratings plummeted, his credibility took a hit, and the image of the Teflon president, the man who could do no wrong, was forever shattered. The Iran-Contra affair left an indelible mark on American politics, fueling cynicism toward government, deepening partisan divisions, and raising profound questions about the balance of power in a democracy. It was a stark reminder that even in a nation of laws, power can corrupt. Secrecy can be a dangerous weapon, and the pursuit of noble ends does not justify unethical means. Shadows and whispers. The Iran-Contra affair, a tale of clandestine operations, political intrigue, and shattered trust, faded from the headlines, but its echoes continue to reverberate through the halls of American history. It remains a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the fragility of democracy, the seductive allure of power, and the enduring human capacity for both good and evil. Oliver North, the central figure in this shadowy saga, emerged from the crucible of scandal, a polarizing figure. Hailed as a hero by some, condemned as a rogue operative by others. His story became a Rorschach test for a nation grappling with the complexities of the Cold War, the limits of patriotism, and the ethical dilemmas of wielding power in the shadows. The Iran-Contra affair left an indelible mark on the American psyche, eroding public trust in government, fueling cynicism toward institutions, and deepening the partisan divide that continues to plague the nation today. It served as a stark reminder that even in a democracy founded on principles of transparency and accountability, the pursuit of national security can sometimes lead down a treacherous path. In the end, the Iran-Contra affair stands as a testament to the enduring power of truth, the importance of a free press, and the need for constant vigilance in safeguarding the ideals upon which the United States was founded. It is a story that continues to resonate, to spark debate, and to remind us that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance, lest we find ourselves lost in a labyrinth of our own making.